cannot believe this is in the Bible.
All right, got my Bible. Let's see what you got.
There are several verses in the Bible that many scholars and Muslims believe refer to Prophet Muhammad. One of the most famous references is in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 18, where God promises to send another prophet like Moses.
There's no way we're reading the same Bible. Let's read Deuteronomy 18:18 in context, and you'll see why this can't possibly refer to Muhammad. It starts off by God saying to Moses, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. So there's two things going on here. For one, the prophet to come is to be like Moses. And Deuteronomy 34:10 through 12 specifically describes this as someone whom the Lord knew face to face and someone who performed many signs and miracles. So the first aspect of this prophet like Moses was that he had to know the Lord face to face like Moses did. And Moses used to communicate with God face to face, so much so that his face would shine from the glory of the Lord. Muhammad never had this kind of relationship with Allah. The closest Muhammad had was Allah giving revelations to him through the angel Gabriel. And the second aspect of this prophet, like Moses, was that he had to perform many signs and miracles like Moses did. But according to chapter 13, verse 7 of the Quran, Muhammad was just a warner and didn't perform any miracles. The later unreliable hadiths say Muhammad performed many miracles, but Allah is clear in saying that he didn't. So Muhammad was not a prophet like Moses as defined in Deuteronomy. But the second part of this prophet, like Moses, was that he was to come from his brothers. And in the context of Deuteronomy, this always means from among the Israelites. So he couldn't be a non-Israelite. This is evident from Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15, which says, One from among your brothers you shall set as king over you. You may not put a foreigner over you who is not your brother. So it's obvious that the prophet to come had to be a descendant of Israel, but Muhammad was the descendant of Ishmael. Based on this alone, this disqualifies Muhammad from being the prophet like Moses as described in Deuteronomy 18:18. But that's not all. The rest of the verse says, And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. This also doesn't apply to Muhammad because he delivered revelations from Satan and later said, I have fabricated things against God and have imputed to him words which he has not spoken. And verse 20 of Deuteronomy 18 says that anyone who does this deserves capital punishment. So, since Muhammad gave revelations that didn't come from God, this disqualifies him from being the prophet like Moses. Now, Deuteronomy 18:18 fits Jesus perfectly when you read the New Testament. Jesus claimed to know God in a way no one else did, and even came from him, and it was at God's side in heaven. Jesus performed many signs and miracles. Jesus was the descendant of Judah who was a child of Israel. And he only spoke what the Father told him to say. And the Apostle Peter even said that Jesus was the prophet like Moses to come. So Deuteronomy 18:18 has everything to do with Jesus and nothing to do with Muhammad.